Hi everyone, welcome to my presentation today, What Successful Language Learners Do. This is a brief presentation. I will try and keep it short, so I would appreciate it if we could keep the questions until the end. Okay, let me share my screen and let's get started. So what successful language learners do? So yes, learning a language is hard work. It is a lot harder for adults than children, unfortunately for us. It does challenge our brain to form new ways of thinking. And we need to do that consistently over quite a long period of time. And those together can mean that it gets boring at times. Another added complication is that it can be more challenging to see our progress as we get better and better. When you're a beginner, very easy to see what you learn. Now, it can be easy for some people. Some people have that type of brain that likes, enjoys this kind of work. It can also be easier depending on what language you're learning. So if you are German, learning English, not so challenging. But if you're an Arabic speaker trying to learn Japanese, it's a little bit more challenging. So if it is so hard, then should we do it? Yes, absolutely. Why? Well, even if we never need to use that language, scientists have already shown us the benefits to the brain. They've mapped the brain. They've seen the nerves and the pathways improve just by learning a language. It's going to keep our brain healthy. It's also well known that learning to speak in another language is learning to think in a different way. Malay, for example, they don't use past, present, or future tense. They have a different way of expressing. Learning these different ways of thinking can be a really good way to improve your brain's ability to do problem solving. Now, learning a language can open up new doors in your personal life, new friendships, opportunities for travel. It can also open up new doors in your career. You get that promotion if you learn your business English gets big improvement. And also, people who speak different languages are known to score higher in tests about being open-minded and culturally sensitive. And that comes back to being able to learn to think in a different way. So we know that learning a language is hard. We've just discussed why we should do it. So now what is the best way? Now, my opinion, rather than trying to learn a language, break it down into smaller chunks. I want to learn 20 new phrases for introducing presentations in English. That word measurable is important. Have a measure of success. I want to improve my English presentations. That's hard to measure. I want to learn 20 new phrases for introducing presentations in English. Now we can see what we've learned. Find a way of learning you enjoy. Are you an extrovert? Do you like to be around people? Group classes. Are you an introvert? Find being around people exhausting? Then online courses, one-on-one coaching. Have some method for accountability. Tell someone what you're going to do and when you're going to do it by, and then they will check on you. You're less likely to give up if you know someone is checking. Take breaks in your learning journey. Don't forget the language altogether, but there's no need to keep learning every single day. You will burn out. Try to increase the amount of language you learn while you're doing other things, incidental learning. Reading the news, read it in the language you're practicing. Listening to a movie or a podcast. Practice. No way around it. You need to practice. And the last thing that's a little bit harder to understand, focus on the application of the language, not on being correct. And let's take a deeper look at that idea. It's not easy to understand. How do children learn? My 4-year-old daughter follows me around all day, copying me, asking me thousands of questions and copying me. I don't know how many times I've heard her tell her toys to clean up their room. But we don't learn that way. We learn by, first of all, getting lots of words and then learning the rules to put them together. But learning a language is much, much more than the words and the rules. We need to think about learning a language as a skill, learning something that we do rather than learning something that we know. We need to learn to use the words and rules together. So native English speakers don't use all the combinations they can. We use specific versions. And get messy in your learning. Be happy to make mistakes along the way. When you're learning an application, learning to drive a car, we all made mistakes. Hopefully we didn't crash, but we made mistakes as we learned. So we understand now that it's hard and that we should do it, and we know some principles for doing it. But the last thing, the really last thing in all of this message is that we need to learn to find our childlike joy. Immersion in the language and playing with it are the keys to really successfully learning a language. So maybe you are an introvert, you like to do things alone, apps, games, maybe you like to play games. Change your language, change it to be the language you're learning. Seeing movies, if you can see movies in your target language, you will enjoy the movie and get some practice. Even more left field, maybe you're learning Spanish. Take a Spanish cooking class in Spanish. Enjoy the food and learn more of the language and practice along the way. If you find all of this joyful, learning is so much more easy and it will come a lot more naturally. So I hope I have motivated you all to keep learning another language, even though it's going to be challenging sometimes. I've given you the tips on how to do it easily. Thank you very much for your time, and I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.